So in the classic Sierra Online adventure game, Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Fathers, which sees Tim Curry, or as he's actually credited on the back of a box, Time Curry, he escapes to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by good voice acting, which is New Orleans. It is genuinely sort of creepy in its own right, to be perfectly fair, because it's about voodoo, it's about murders for eviscerated bodies by lakesides, you go to a graveyard, so it's got a lot of that going on. But it's not the actual content of the game which is creepy, it's actually the very first time Time Curry has a conversation with one of the other characters, and you see the portraits which look like reanimated corpses. They're like really waxy and static, and that married with his like very, 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 very poor New Orleans drawl just creates like this bizarre sensation that makes your skin crawl. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Fool's Gold starring Ray Winstone. Not many people have, surprisingly. His accent is actually worse than that. So check it out. It's like, hey there, Molly, or do you know anything about these murders? And that's me actually doing an improvement on his FM. So that's within the opening 5 minutes of the game. The other scary thing is in Diddy Kong Racing, where a beautiful, bright, colourful game full of sunshine and joy and balloons and windmills and cute animals, but as soon as you get to the character select screen, you've got Timber the Tiger's creepy, leering eyes psychotically staring out at you like a dead-eyed gaze. It's just, it's horrifying. You have to just look away and pick one of the characters around the periphery.
It's cute.
It's not cute. It's not right.
I've come very prepared today, and I've actually got 3. One very quick shout out to the Romani's Ranch in Majora's Mask when you have to save all the coups. I think I talked about that for a horrifying childhood moment, but I just want to give it another shout out because it was flippin' horrifying. And I knew I had to do it as well. That was the worst part. You had to do it to get a mask. My second shout out is to, I've been playing Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines because I'm proper hyped for the sequel. People just say this game is like a cult classic and it's fantastic, but it's absolutely terrible. Don't get me wrong, but I love it. I love the fact that it's terrible. It's 2004 at its buggy best. And it has, so I'm a vampire, right? Lord of the Undead, as you do, going about doing my stuff, eating some people. And it's like, one guy's like, you need to go to this hotel and get me this this thing from this ghost. And I'm like, oh, fine, no bother, pal, no bother. Oh my God, the hotel is haunted and everything is trying to kill me. And I just did not expect it. There's jump scares everywhere. A lift fell on me. It was very creepy and I was not expecting that. It was great. I really hope that game has more stuff like that because it was really, really good, really unexpected. But the main thing I'd like to talk about today is a game that I resent my friend for telling me to play because we had a sort of phase where we were playing like really trashy dating simulators because they're great, right? And she was like, oh, I found this new one and it's called Doki Doki Literature Club. Ozzy just said, oh dear. Yeah, so I was like, oh, brilliant, yeah. So you play it, right? If you haven't played it, please do, just skip me. Just please play it for yourself. If you haven't played it, guys, you're about to get it spoiled for you. So it starts off, you play it for about like a couple hours, like 2 hours or so, introduces you to all these lovely lassies. They've got a little book club and they write poems about each other. It's adorable. You start to maybe get a favourite. Maybe it's Yuri with her big hair. Maybe it's Natsuki, she's small and cute. Maybe it's Monica, she's the leader, she's smart and stuff. Or maybe it's your wee best friend, Satsuki? Oh my God, I can't remember her name. What's her name? Begins with an S. Oh, she's so memorable. Oh, I feel so bad. So, you go through this game, you're romancing one of them, it's probably not Sakura, and then all of a sudden, a couple hours in, she kills herself. She kills herself. You walk in on her, she's been a bit sad all throughout the game, but you're like, oh, it's fine, we're best friends. She's dead. She's hanging by the ceiling, and it comes out of nowhere. It is horrific. And then, of course, the game sort of goes downhill. From there, some very spooky things start happening, and it's all coming back to me now. I've got PTSD from playing it. Oh my God, it was so unexpected, and it's so scary. There's fourth wall breaks, there's the lot, there's like, oh God. It's a very, very good game, very well designed, but why did I play it? It was such a trap, honestly. It was brilliant.
Well, because all I've been playing recently is the Metal Gear Solid series, it's going to have to be something from there, and it is something that's sort of creeped me out ever since I was a kid and played through them for the first time, and that's the weird fourth wall breaks, especially in number 2, because Metal Gear Solid has always kind of been a creepy series. You've got vampires in the second game, for instance. The element of horror has always been there, but the way it sort of directly attacks the player in a meta way has always unnerved me, even in the first game when that wasn't necessarily the point. Even the Colonel talking about telling Snake that he needs to hit the action button or he needs to save and kind of just talking about video game conventions really freaked me out because that has no real in-game, in-world explanation and it's purely for the player, and I was like, this is a weird disconnect. In the second game, builds on that even more. You're taking you're riding, you're taking sort of orders from a literal AI. Like, you find out later on that the Colonel and your engaged fiance, that's the word I'm looking for. The Colonel and your fiance are not even real, and they're just sort of leading you down this path and telling you what to do. And because you're both playing the game and riding as a character, you haven't really questioned it. You're just doing what they say because of course you do. You think they're a Colonel, but really they're just kind of this weird AI, which is this odd meta, and then it completely breaks down towards the end, and you've got weird things popping up on the screen. You've got the game crashing. You've got the Colonel turning into this skull man that is just kind of talking in the most creepy cadence ever and telling you to turn the game off, that you've played it too long, that's going to fry your brain. And it's horrible. And there's this one moment where you as Raiden, you're sort of trapped in this hallway. You're naked, because of course you are. And then this creepy little thing pops up in the corner where the radar should be. And it's like someone perving on this like woman. And it's the worst thing ever. And as a kid, there is the horror of, I don't know what's happening. Is this real? Has someone hacked into the game? But also the horror in your mind that, what if my mom walks in right now? What is she going to think? This is going to be worse than if a sex scene was happening right now. This is terrifying. Fortunately, now I know it's not real. It's just part of the game. It's part of this great meta-analysis. I've just realized I think I've done Metal Gear Solid 2 weeks in a row because the game is really good and I think you should all play it again. It's really scary and that Colonel AI is stressful.
You should do it every week, mate.
Every week?
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah.
People will eventually start thinking it's the best one if I do that.
I mean...
And it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah.
And that's the tea.
I'm going to talk about Satisfactory again because it's great. Hi, Jace. Hi. Shut up, Osley. Hi, Jace. I love that game to pieces. It's my kind of thing. I get to go around making factories. It's all about order, organization. Everything's at right angles. It's all very nice. It's all lovely. But when you go out having to find more ores, you will be up against various creatures. You've got a spitty boy, you've got a chargy boy. You've got Lizard Doggo who follows you around if you give him a fruit. He's cute. I need one. But there was an enemy that comes about, it seems to be later on in the game and or at night, and you also find them in caves, but where I was in my sort of playthrough at this point, I hadn't reached the ability to go into caves because they're all blocked by big poisonous things. You need a gas mask, and I didn't have a gas mask. Game design. But they came out at night, and I was heading towards, I think I was looking for oil, and it was like 2 kilometers away from where I was based. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll go on a trek. And I'm there trudging through this forest, and all of a sudden I sort of hear this scuttling, and I'm thinking, oh no. I'm not great with like big spiders. I'm not a fan. Normally in games, they don't bother me either. But in this, it did, because I was walking through the forest, it's pitch black, I've got my flashlight out. Satisfactory is not a horror game in any capacity. And then these weird alien spider crab things come out of nowhere and they launch themselves at you. They scuttle. The sound design is impeccable because I was there like squealing, running away, running back to my base. My legs are twitching. It feels like I can feel them crawling up my legs. I'm there at my computer like this. I can't actually be doing with the fact I'm being chased by a swarm of weird spider crab things in a game where I'm just trying to make copper wire. I haven't been back to Satisfactory for a significant amount of time after that event because it freaked me out so much. Because I wasn't expecting there to be gigantic spiders in a game about building a factory. But lo and behold, there they are. But I did turn on arachnophobia mode, which they thankfully did add in. Thank you, Jace. And Copy Stain. Where it turns all of the spiders into pictures of cats. They still scuttle, and they can still hit you, but they're just replaced with a cat head.
So you're now beating up cats.
So now beating up cats that scuttle and slash at me. Jace, please fix.
I have two. The first one that came to mind was I'm going to do these in escalating order. So the first one that came to mind was in the first Max Payne. Like I've obviously phenomenal game, sort of pioneer bullet time and yada yada. But noir detective game, you're playing as lovely Max Payne, avenging your family as one might want to do. And there's one bit where you sort of follow up a lead. I forget what the name of the dude is. I think it's Frank Lapino. You follow this dude who's like, you go to like his gang headquarters, and you find out that he's the leader of this like death cult. And all you hear as you walk through these levels are just people saying, "The flesh of fallen angels," over and over again, and he's all into that as well. And so you explore this different level, and you come across like different junkies that are like sort of, I don't know, they're very close to ODing or whatever, and they're just screaming about being in pain, and you can shoot them because it's a video game. And if you do, then they go "Oh!" for like really ages, and then obviously you keep walking, and someone else just keeps going on about the flesh of fallen angels, and you're trying to track down this Lapino guy, and eventually you get to him, and then he's just a big old cacophony of coming at you. And it's just horrible. So it's like it's that whole sequence. It's all the and all the flesh and all that. So it would be all that whole level. It's all that. And everybody who's played Max Payne will know exactly what I mean as well. But yeah, the other thing is the Fahrenheit, the sex scenes in Fahrenheit, the David Cage Fahrenheit called Indigo Prophecy in the US. The game where the scene where Lucas Kane finally gets with I forget what her name is, Tiffany or something. It's the end of the world, and they're fighting the internet because the internet's alive in that game. It's a thing, and they realize that the world's going to end, and they're just in a lovely subway, realizing that the throes of passion are going to take them. But it's the PS2, and they can't motion capture stuff very well, so it just kind of cuts to his face as he's like kind of like going for it like that, and then it cuts to her, and she's like doing that as well, and so there's a lot of that going on, and then it pops up on screens like push the right analog stick to thrust, and I'm like, I don't want to thrust right now at all, but you do, because you're not going to not thrust, I guess, in that moment. So you follow it through, and there's just a lot of intercutting with Lucas's face just doing a bit of that, and then it's over.
Right, now, see, this is technically from a horror game, so it shouldn't have been unexpectedly creepy, but I was still surprised by it, so I'm going to say it anyway. Plus, I've spoken about loads of other times with like the 300 Dead Tree and Vex, the horrible little shadows in that. I've spoken about those games before, so I'm talking about another one, which is Among the Sleep, which is a little like indie game about you're like play as a baby, you play as this toddler, and your mom has been taken to some like hellish dream dimension, and you've got a teddy bear with you who's like guiding you through, and it's like, oh my god, we've got to rescue your mom. So we're walking through. And the first levels all kind of set up this weird, dreamlike, creepy world where everything isn't quite as it seems, and there's this monster that comes later in the game. But one of the first levels is just kind of setting the tone, and you walk in, and it's all like dark and spooky. So it's expected what you get from a horror game, especially like a little indie one. It's very atmospheric. So I was like, okay, this is what you get. This is fine. And you've got to collect all of these little stone owls from a playground to put them on a weight to then like climb up this big structure. I'm explaining this very badly. But you go into this playground, there's loads of stone owls everywhere, and you're like, okay, that's fine, this is spooky, it's dark, there's some creepy music, whoa, what's going to happen? I don't know. And as you're going around, you find the owls, and there's a big stone statues behind them as well. I'm hoping footage will show this. There's big stone statues behind them as well. So you go and collect your little one that you've got to go and put on the weight machine. And as you turn back around, the owls move. And like you don't realise until like you don't realise until you start picking up a few of them that like these massive giant actual statue ones are turning around and being like, whoo, like at you, and like it's really unsettling. So like I was going around, I was fine, I didn't really pay attention the first time I played it through, and I was like, oh yeah, that wasn't that bad. And I played it again because it's a really short game, so like, oh, I'll play it again just to see that I got everything, and I was like, oh my god, I'm going mental. Like I was like, oh, what's happening? Because they're proper like, it's really subtle the way that they all turn around, and once you notice it, it is really like unsettling, like it's horrible. Because with everything else going on, you just don't expect that to be happening as well. It was just like another layer to it, because it's supposed to be this early on level, which is just all tone, atmosphere. Spooky playground to begin with is spooky. You don't need weird, horrible owl statues looking at you going, like when you turn around, like it's like the weeping angels from Doctor Who, which is a reference you will like, Rich.
Thank you.
But yeah, it was like that, but with just big owls instead. But yeah, owls are creepy though, aren't they? Like,
It's got to be Skyrim, because when I play RPGs, I like to only go through one
quest line to kind of keep the immersion going. Like, no one in Skyrim is going to be doing, I know a lot of people do it this way, but I'm not going to be a member of the Thieves Guild who is then also a member of the Dark Brotherhood, who is then also a member of the Companions, who is then also the Dragonborn. It just doesn't make sense.
Preach.
You've got to keep it within the realms of, like, you know, sensibility. So, whatever. I'm going through this playthrough as a companion, so I'm all noble and good, and I probably have a thick Nordic accent, and I'm going around talking about how people shouldn't complain about, you know, getting their sweet rolls stolen and stuff. And I come across this old farm, and I'm like, interesting. Not that interesting, there are loads of farms in Skyrim, but whatever. I go there, and there's this guy in a jester outfit, and he's got a coffin, and he speaks with a really, really peculiar cadence. He's like, hello, I'm Cicero. Got my mother's dead, and I need you to go find a cemetery. Oh, there's a guy here who won't help me, please. And basically, you go to the guy and talk to him, and he's like, I don't trust that. He's shady. Like, I don't trust this jester guy. And you wouldn't, because he's a man in a clown outfit, and he's got a big old ancient rune-looking coffin in his back wagon. Yeah. And basically, what happens is you can either help Cicero, or you can basically rat him out to the local, you can be a grass and snitch on him and go to the local, like, I think it's the Pale, this part of the map. You can snitch on him to a guard and he'll get arrested, whatever. Basically, if you come back to that place later on, you'll find out that they're all dead. All the people at the farm are dead if you rat Cicero out. And I was just there like, wait, what on earth? Because I hadn't encountered the Dark Brotherhood at this point. I had no idea what had gone on. And I come back and there's this guard's just there like, they're all dead, they're all dead, they're all dead. And I'm just there like, what? They're all dead? And it was that moment that I learned that my actions had consequences. You frickin' freaks. I learned at that point that not only is Skyrim really creepy in certain areas, but also that at any moment, a creepy man in a clown jester outfit could come around and kill my family for not helping him take his mother, who isn't actually his mother, but his mother, to a random graveyard. And
so what killed them?
It's heavily implied that Cicero killed them. So basically, you grassing got them killed.
Fair.
And I thought I was doing a good thing. I was like, I don't want to help. This guy seems pretty shady, you know. And then the next thing I know, I've got a bloody Nordic guard coming up to me going, Mendoza! And I'm really sad. It's just really bad. It's really creepy.
That's definitely a mod that exists somewhere.
Yeah.
The Mendoza mod.
Sorry about that, farmers.
So I bought a Vive like back a few years ago, and they've got these like testing games that come with it. I don't know if it comes with every Vive, but anyway, it's called Zombie Training Simulator. On paper, it sounds like really creepy, but when you actually like see the game and play it, it's actually not at all. It's literally just cardboard zombies, a bit like the zombies mode in Call of Duty, where they just like come towards you and it's like a wave spawner essentially. But the reason why it's so creepy is because you're just shooting them, having a good old time, and you're just like chucking bombs and throwing some meat, because they get attracted to meat as well. But when you're swarmed by all of these zombies, you've got like no ammo left in your gun, and they're just like kind of next to you, it gets so creepy. Like especially when there's one zombie and they come straight to your face like that. It feels literally like they're about to touch you, and it's so weird. It's horrible, and it's just like, yeah, it's just so unexpected. Like it's a great game, but it's just really creepy.
For me, it had to be back in 2015 when Everybody's Gone to the Rapture came out, and I was expecting a nice sci-fi mystery game. I'd looked at the screenshots, I'd heard all the music that was coming out for it at the time, and I thought this looks like a lovely, kind of relaxed puzzle game, a walking simulator, if you will. I was up for that. When I started the game, everything seemed fine. Bright colours, Somerset-style town. I felt very at home. I was like, oh, pop down the local for a bit of scrumpy, you know? And then it hit me. I was desperately and painfully alone. And that is one of like my biggest fears, of just that feeling of severe isolation. And when you see in the background these sort of like wispy style things that are memories of stuff that's happened before, and you start to piece together these little mini stories of people getting horrendous nosebleeds before whatever happened to them. I won't spoil it. And it was like, okay, this is now starting to get really, really uncomfortable and almost upsetting, because you're just walking around just going, God, I don't even care if something attacks me. I don't care if anything appears. I just want something there rather than this just empty nothingness. And yeah, that hits quite hard when you're just kind of like, oh shit, I'm actually alone.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Now, if you want more chatty faces, why not watch through the rest of our playlist? But I just want to say a big thank you to the brilliant channel sponsors for voting on this week's chatty question. And if you want to join the vote, then why not consider hitting the join button and becoming a sponsor today? And we will see you next week. Bye!